Hello guys, and welcome to the latest installment of my Vlogmas Flames of War, Forces of War list building series. Now, if you're new to this list building series, we are using a 100-point system from the books because this is going to cover mid-war and late war, so we're not using dynamic points, we are using purely book points. Today, we are going to be focusing on the British starter force. There's the Desert Rats Squadron box set. Now this box set is already pretty full, but let's have a look at what you're going to get and then how we're going to fill that out. So you get 5 Cromwell tanks, 2 Fireflies, 3 Crocodile tanks, 4 Stuart tanks, 1 paratroop platoon, 3 universal carriers, 4 25-pounders, 2 M10 tank destroyers, and a complete A5 rulebook along with a few other things. So it really is a starter force. Let's go ahead and build it, see how many points we've got left over, if any. I believe we'll have some points left over, and then we can decide how we want to move forward. Trying to use everything that's in the actual starter set. So we can go to new force, we're going to go to D-Day British, and we're going to go to the Desert Rats Armoured Squadron. Hit start now. So we can see in this list there is 5 Cromwell tanks and 2 Fireflies. So we can go here. So you've got quite a few options for the HQ actually. You can either take 1 Cromwell, 2 Cromwells. I'm going to have to see what we can get in the actual normal squadron. But they are reluctant, so they're on they roll a 5+ for motivation, but they do remount on a 3+, which is always nice. Their skill is a 4+, so they're in between, and they're hit on a 4, which is great. Front armor of 6, side and rear of 4 on top of 1. The Cromwell 75mm gun is anti-tank of 10 and a firepower of 3+. That's really pretty good, and it can also fire smoke, which is also very good. If you decide to take the CS version, the 95mm version, you can fire an artillery bombardment at 48 inches. Again, it's a firepower 3+, but the anti-tank is now 3, but that's artillery. You will probably much expect that. Or it can direct fire at 24 inches, so it's 4 inches less than the 75mm gun, and that's anti-tank of 8 and a firepower of 2+. So that's very attractive and appealing if you like a better firepower, but bearing in mind the anti-tank rating isn't as good, but you might still be able to get some lucky shots on some Panzer IVs, for example. Now before I go ahead and click anything here, I just want to go back to the armoured troop and just see what our options are. So we can get 3 Cromwells and 1 Firefly for 18 points. Now we know the stats for the Cromwells. The stats for the Firefly are identical, including the armor. The only difference is the 17-pounder gun is anti-tank 14 and firepower of 3+, and it has no HE. Now if you decide to go completely away from the box, you can also get the Challenger, which is a better looking tank just because it's so bloody ugly with a huge turret, but it looks cool. The stats again remain identical. Actually, it doesn't change at all from the Firefly, so it's up to you what you want to do here. I'm just making sure that I'm giving you that right. Oh no, the Challenger has a bit better movement, actually quite a lot more movement than the Fireflies. Looking at the other stuff, it can terrain cross on a 4+ opposed to the Firefly's 3+, so that's where it's not as good. Everything else is identical. What do they want for the points? Challenger's 1 point more. Okay, that's to be expected, but in the set you only get 2 Fireflies and 5 Cromwell tanks. So let's go ahead and go, oh, this is going to be tricky. 2 Cromwells and 1 Firefly for 13 points. I'm just trying to work out what they've done here. And then we go another 2 Cromwells and a Firefly. That leaves us with 1 Cromwell left. So we can go 1 Cromwell for 5 points. No, I won't go the CS option yet because I can only get 1 Cromwell anyway. The CS comes in a platoon. Cool, so we've got them down. We've also got Stuarts, which is an option here. Desert Rat Stuart Recce Patrol. What do you get in that? 4 Stuarts for 8 or 3 for 6. They get the Scout and Spearhead movement, which we've covered in terms of their rules already. Reluctant 5, remount on a 4+. They are trained on 4, assault on 5. hit on 4, front armor of 4, side and rear of 3, and top of 1. Anti-tank of 7, firepower of 4+. They are overworked. So overworked just means you have to add a +1 to the score needed to hit when moving. So it just means that the vehicle is slightly overworked. Perhaps there's not enough crew in the vehicle. Well, this particular tank might be a little bit different. Maybe the commander and acts as the gunner as well. So there's not like different roles. Maybe he does a dual role. I'm assuming that's probably the case. And then the scout and spearhead, as I said, we've already touched on that in other videos, but just briefly, spearhead gives you that little bit extra deployment zone during your initial deployment before the game starts. And scouts are gun to ground unless they shoot or assault. This means that if they are concealed, the enemy will suffer an additional 1+ penalty to hit them. So we've got our scout or recce section here. In that box set there is 4 of those, so we can go ahead and hit 4 and then return to formation. That is it. I don't think there's any AA. No, there's not. So that's all the tanks within the squadron. But then it's got some flame crocodiles, and there is 3 of those. Yes, correct, there is 3. So 3 of those for 21 points. You get them as confident. So they're a 4+, but they do remount on a 3. They do counterattack at a 6. So you don't want to be assaulting with these. As you can see by the skill, their assault is 6, but they are trained for everything else, which is a 4+. They hit on a 4+. Their front armor is 11, which is fantastic for late war. Side and rear 8 and top 1. 75 mil is anti-tank 10, firepower 3+ and smoke, as we've already discussed. The flamethrower is rate of fire of 6, halted and moving. Anti-tank 2, auto firepower because it's a flamethrower, and it is forward firing, so you only get that 90-degree arc to fire. If you decide to move, you just count the vehicle as moving. So yeah, 21 points for that. That is gonna bulk up that points quite nicely. There was 2 M10s. Now you can just say, it doesn't actually say if you want them as 17 pounders or just the traditional M10s, but they're modeled to be 17 pounders. So let's copy that one. So 2 of those for 9 points. Confident again, trained again. Assaulting, you don't want to be doing assault on a 5+, counterattack on a 6. Here on a 4, the front armor is slightly less than the Cromwell, was 5, side and rear of 2, and that opens up to that top armor is 0. Anti-tank of 14, which is again the same as the Firefly. Firepower of 3+, no HE. If you decide to go with the 3-inch version, anti-tank drops down to 12, firepower 3+, again no HE, but they do get an MG in the form of a 50 cal, which is self-defense AA, so that's good at shooting at potential aircraft that are attacking. So that takes us to 69 points. Then we've got some 25 pounders, 4 25 pounders. So 25 pounder field troop, 4 of those for 14 points. So they are fearless and they are veterans. That's really good. The artillery, British artillery, you'd expect to be fantastic, which it is. They are hit on a 4+. The 25 pounder is anti-tank, 3, firepower 4+, but it can do a smoke bombardment, and it can also fire direct. Anti-tank of 9, firepower 3+, at 24 inches. That's a really, really nice. So you could actually use that in a dual purpose sort of role. So we'll go 4 for those, 14 points. That takes us to 83. Okay, so we're going to get up to 100 points. 1 platoon of paratrooper platoon, and we get the 3 universal carriers. So parachute platoon, what have we got there? Is that a small platoon or is that a... It doesn't show. I can't work out how many stands that is. I think... No, that might be a full strength platoon, so 10 points for that one. Fearless on a 3+, trained on a 4. They assault on a 3, so they're very good at assaulting. Careful, hit on a 4. The weapons are nothing to get excited about. Rifle and brain gun 2 when halted, 1 when moving. Anti-tank 2, 5 out of 6. Yep, cool, whatever. Not very good. The Pia anti-tank is 1 when moving or halted. It's slow firing, so you want to be firing it when you're halted because you don't take the penalty. Anti-tank 10 of firepower 5+, which, you know, it's better than nothing. We can add an additional anti-tank team for 1 point, but we won't do that just yet, because I'm just trying to fill out the list to make sure we've got exactly what's in the list. And then we've got three universal carriers, and then that is our list completed. Here we go. Desert Rats Universal Carrier Patrol. 3 of those for 2 points. Reluctant 5, remount on a 4+, but you do get the Scout and Spearhead. Trained on a 4+, Assault on a 5+, Hit on a 4+, Front Armor of 1, Side and Rear and Top of 0. They only have that MG, and it's not a 50 cal, so it's nothing great. Rate of fire of 3 when halted or moving, anti-tank 2, firepower 6. You do have the option to upgrade it to be a PIAT anti-tank sort of universal carrier, or have an PIAT attached to it, and tank 10 and firepower 5+. So 3 of those, that takes us to 95 points. So it's 5 points shy of what is required. So sorry, what's required, the 100 points required. So how would I amend this list, which is a really, really good question, bearing in mind I'm trying to keep the core of the list in play here. Now I do, just looking at this, I feel this, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like there's a few things that we don't need. I'm a firm believer in only in terms of my lists, and again, they're not meta to win, these are more like sort of like a balance a list. I believe that I don't need 2 lots of recce if I can help it. So we've got the 4 Stewards and the 3 universal carriers that are like our reconnaissance, so I might get rid of one of those. Again, not really freeing up too many points. I'll probably ditch the parachute platoon just because I want to keep it more British infantry themed. Obviously D-Day, the British 6th Airborne did link up with armoured elements coming from the beach, but I want to try and keep this more British themed, and getting just a generic British infantry platoon I'm assuming will free up just a couple of points. I'm not a big fan of the 2 M10s on their own. They only need to lose 1, and you're probably going to lose that other one just by running away. We've got 2 Fireflies already, so why not use those points to increase those troops that we've got. So yeah, I'm happy with the 4 25-pounders and the 3 crocodiles. They're awesome, but they might be overkill for this. The crocodiles might be a really good option if this was a purely infantry based formation. So again, I'm going to try and amend this slightly without going too much away from the box, but the box gives you options, right? If we're using this list, we've got 5 points, so we could go ahead and just see what an additional 5 points can get us. So it would literally, for me, I'd be more inclined to get an additional, would I want to do that? Yeah, probably 2 tanks in my HQ. That would leave 1 point, and then I'd probably just get a lucky card. So that all means you only really have to buy an extra sprue on the Cromwell. So yeah, it's not a bad list to be fair, but let's amend it, alright? So let's go ahead and amend this list. So first things first, I know people like the Stewards and Universal Carriers. I'm not a big fan of either, just because I've not really had much success with them. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the Universal Carriers, because I think at least the Stewards can deal with half tracks and such. I'm also going to go ahead and remove the M10s, because I think that's just too much heavy AT for the vulnerability of having just a 2 tank platoon. I'm also going to remove the parachute platoon, albeit really good infantry we've got there, and I'm tempted to remove the crocodile flame tank platoon soon, but we might just see how we're going. So how would I fix this one up? So we need to get a Desert Rats rifle platoon in there. So for 8 points you gain the additional 2-inch mortar, but the stats are way different compared to that parachute platoon. So for the sake of 2 points, it might be worth keeping the parachute platoon for that motivation that you, and also skill that you get. So for these, they're reluctant 5+ counterattack on a 4+, train on a 4, assault on a 3, they hit on a 4. Brent and gun and rifle teams, PIAT and 2-inch mortar. We already know all those stats. 2-inch mortar, anti-tank 2, firepower 4+, also gives us that overhead fire. Do I want to go Desert Rats rifle platoon, or do I actually want to just go a rifle platoon Confident 4, counterattack on a 3+, war weary on a 5+. Because it's Desert Rats theme, let's try and keep it all themed within the same sort of sphere. Desert Rats Rifle Platoon, so we'll get 8 of those. I just want to see, what does the Motor Platoon give us? No, very, very smaller teams. Okay, so with that in mind, we've ditched the M10s, so let's go ahead and increase what we've got here. So we can grab an additional Cromwell with that Firefly, so we can go one of those, and then I think we can go one of these, so that takes us to 96 points, and then for an additional 5 points, which I don't have, I would have liked to throw in 2 CS and a Cromwell just to give us that extra artillery. Where can we get some points from? Let's have a look, see. But I probably don't need that extra bit of points. We could ditch the crocodiles. We could even get another armoured troop in. So that's what I might do. Ditch the crocodiles. Clear and save. Go back here. Let's get another armoured troop in. Again, I'll probably go full strength for this one. Then we got the Stuarts on there as well, so we've actually got an additional 7 points to play with. We've got artillery. We're probably going to need an OP for that one, so let's Sherman OP is 1 point. Stats are good. Motivation 4, skill 3. It's got armor, and it's also got an MG. So we'll just go 1 for now. We might come back and fix this one up. Let's have a look what the bomber is. It's 8 points. Okay, 8 points for the bomber. But it does give us rockets. Rockets fire on top armor, and that's anti-tank of 5 and a firepower of 3+. So for 8 points, if this knocks out like 2 tanks, it's already made up its value depending on what tanks you actually hit with it. Obviously, bearing in mind if they've got a AA, then you might be struggling. But this might be a viable option if we can source an additional 2 points from somewhere. So let's have a look what we've got. So we could reduce the HQ back down to 1. Just means you'd have to be very careful with it. Only problem with this is, what is the problem, guys? We've got recce, we've got artillery, we don't have any AA, but we've also got 4, 8, 12, 14 tanks on the table. I don't think we need, because I would be attacking with this list, especially because it's all tanks that we can get moving quickly. And these can all fire smoke, so we can really lay down like smoke bombardments and cover the movements of certain troops. I would have liked this Desert Rats rifle platoon to be mechanized. Do we just ditch the rifle platoon and just go full mechanized? I feel like you need an infantry platoon. I am a big supporter of infantry platoons. So for an additional 6 points, I feel like we should get the Typhoons in, and then we should reduce the HQ back down to 1. Actually, we'll free up another 2 points. What can an additional 2 points actually get? It's probably not a lot. But we do have the option to take some command guards. So okay, so maybe for the additional 2 points we can clear and save for this one. Instead of a command guard, let's go ahead and put the parachute platoon back in. Give us some pretty strong infantry. So for 100 points, this is what we could potentially end up with. So we could end up with a Cromwell, then we could have 3 Cromwells plus an additional 3 plus an additional 3 plus 3 Fireflies. So 3 troops plus HQ. Then we got the Desert Rats Stuart Recce Patrol, so 4 Stuarts. The 4 25-pounders with the Sherman OP. The 2 Typhoons, in case we're talking like Tigers, or even if you wanted to deal with infantry. Can the Typhoon deal with infantry? What's it got? 20mm guns, okay. Anti-tank of 6, firepower of 5 plus. But yeah, you've got your rockets, anti-tank of 5, firepower of 3 plus, artillery. So yeah, the rockets would do their job anyway. So yeah, you'd have to be attacking with this list, but I think this is what I'll do. So we're actually using the bulk of what we would get in this list. The only thing that I've removed is those 2 M10s and the universal carriers. That's not a lot when you think that. I think that was 10 points of the 95 point list. Additionally, I would have bought another armored troop and a Typhoon set, and that would pretty much do it on a Sherman sprue if you haven't got one lying around, but you can just find one of those on eBay, I'm sure. So yeah, again, another tricky list, especially when we're talking like 95 points worth of miniatures before we've even got a chance to really try and tweak the list. So yeah, I think this would be an interesting list. Would it be a competitive list? I'm not sure. Those 3 Fireflies would have to be putting in a good shift, and you'd want to make sure that Typhoon comes on. But I think you could do some real damage with this list, and it's not going to break, because look at your main squadron there. You've got 3 full complemented troops, plus the patrol of the Stuarts, plus the HQ. So yeah, I think this would be a nice attacking list. Those 25 pounders in even early war, mid war, and late war, they're just great guns. And for 24 inches, you can also use them as an AT if you need it. So an additional AT asset. So yeah, really interesting list. Something that I've never taken. I'm always normally an infantry kind of guy, taking rifle platoons and such. Never really focused on tank teams. So be interested to see how this list goes. Let me know in the comments section what you think, how you would amend this list, bearing in mind the rules of the game are making sure that you at least use 75% of the list. Start off with using all of it, see what you'll do with those extra 5 points. Maybe you'll put in a command card or something, and then just try and tweak it slightly and see what you end up with, because it is quite fascinating to see where we all go with our plans. Huge thank you goes out to my YouTube channel members and Patreons. You guys are absolutely awesome. Special mention also goes out to Oscar, Patrick and Panzer Jim for being those Panzer aces. You're just as deadly as those Fireflies dealing with all that German armor. Let me know below, guys, what lists you would like to see in this Vlogmas series next, and until then, I will catch you at the next one.